This is a Glock 43X. It is arguably one of the most popular concealed carry handguns on the market today. This is the Rost Martin RM1S. We're going to talk today about whether this budget gun can challenge the current champion. So first, let's talk a little bit about the Rost Martin and what it is. It is a polymer frame, striker fired 9mm, and a subcompact frame. Not terribly uncommon, right? We've got a lot of those on the market. What makes this one different? Well, let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, you've got pretty good ergonomics here. You've got really good grip texture. You've got good grip texture on the panels. You've got good texture on the back strap, on the front. You've got good grip texture here above the slide release. And you've even got some index points here and here. So if you are up off of the trigger, you have a nice little memory pad there. If you've got a good aggressive thumbs forward grip, this almost acts like a little bit of a gas pedal, if you will. It gives you another point of contact. Now the texture itself is not super aggressive to where it's obnoxious and going to rub skin off of your body when you're carrying it. But it is aggressive enough that you can get a good grip and feel secure on the gun, even when you're sweating and things like that, versus this nonsense that Glock has given us for, well, up until the Gen 6s. Now they're starting to finally put a little texture on their grips, but for years we've put up with this from Glock. Now, another thing on this is the Rost Martins are optics ready. They come with an RMR plate in there. I like that a little bit better than the MOS system. For the 43X, it wants to use the RMSC. This is using the RMR footprint, so it's going to give me a lot more options in terms of red dots. You also see there's some ribs along the top, texturing to cut down on glare. The sights themselves are steel sights, unlike the Glock. You've got a blacked out rear sight and a white dot front sight. Neither one of them are luminescent or anything like that. This gun also has a single port comp on it, which is one of the reasons that I bought it and tested it out. I wanted to see if comp life was for me. So that was part of the reason that I bought this gun in the first place. Another thing on this gun is that it has a little bit of a magwell here compared to the Glock. A little bit of a magwell, nothing too big, nothing too obnoxious, but enough that it provides a nice smooth reload in there. One last thing to talk about on this is the fact that this gun is completely ambidextrous. Now, on the 43X, yes, I could change my my mag release over to be on the side for me to operate left-handed because I am a left-handed shooter. Same thing with my 365. Switch the mag release over, but no slide release. No slide release. The Rost Martin, you don't have to change the mag release. Both sides operate equally. Slide release on both sides, so you do not have to change anything over. No adjustments, anything like that. The gun is completely ambidextrous right out of the box. Why does that matter if you're not left-handed? You may not always be using the gun with your dominant hand. So it's nice to be able to have all of those controls on either side accessible to you on either hand, whichever hand has the gun in it. Now, the trigger on this is kind of neat. One caveat here, it does have a kind of a long pickup to it. And initially, right out of the box, it was really gritty. Now, it has smoothed out a little bit as I've used the gun, and I anticipate that it'll continue to smooth out. But the take-up itself was a little bit gritty. But once you hit that wall, the wall on it is very definite, and then it is very light. It is a very clean break. The reset on it, also very short, very clean. So a lot of this, in terms of the wall, the brake, the reset, it reminds me a lot of the Canic triggers. The back end of it looks a whole lot like the Canics, and that's not a bad thing. I love the Canics. I love their triggers, so that's a plus for me. There is a little bit of a stop here to keep the trigger from traveling too far. Just kind of nice if you're running the gun fast, and you can run this gun fast. Let's compare this directly to the 43X. Both guns subcompacts. The Rost Martin is not as tall. It's a shorter gun. It is a little bit longer because of the comp. If you look at where the comp ends, that's about where the barrels would end. They are the same width, even though looking at them, it looks like the Rost Martin is a little bit wider, but they are not. They are the same width. Weight-wise, they're about the same. Rost Martin is a little bit heavier. Now, up until recently, factory magazines for the 43X were 10-round flush fit. If you wanted something more than that, you had to get an aftermarket magazine like this one that I have from Palmetto State Armory. So you put that in, that'll give you a 15-round. So the Rost Martin's flush fit is a 12-round. But the difference on it with the 15 is actually pretty minimal. When you put the 15 in on this, the 15 in on this one, there is almost no height difference between the two of these. They are almost identical. When I measured them off, it was less than 2/10 of an inch difference. But now Glock has recently come out with metal magazines that are 15-round flush fit. So those are available. That's a recent thing with them. Speaking of magazines, I looked for availability of magazines. Rost Martin sells the magazines directly off of their website. Gun Mag Warehouse also sells them, and they run about 25 bucks a piece, which is nice for a guy who is used to paying 40 bucks for a SIG mag. $25 mags are definitely appreciated. They're steel mags. I've had no issues with them so far when I've been out shooting them. So let's talk about shooting the gun. I took this gun directly out of the box, did not clean it at all, took it to the range, and so far I've got 250 rounds through it. The first 125 rounds were Cellar and Ballot 115 grain jacketed hollow points. About 20 rounds in, I did have one time where the magazine didn't go all the way into battery. All I had to do was give it a tap, and then the gun ran fine. I had no other issues after that. Shot the gun, went back, put another 125 rounds through it. This time it was all remanufactured ammo from Ammo Depot, and it was 124 grain. Gun ran fine, absolutely no issues. So 250 rounds in, I had one time that inside the first 20 rounds that the gun didn't go completely into battery. Aside from that, there have been absolutely no hiccups on this. For a gun that I haven't cleaned right out of the box to not go into battery once in the first 20 rounds, yeah, I'm not worried about that. So I'm pretty happy with the reliability on this. I'm going to get another 250 rounds through it, and if I see no reliability issues with it by 500 rounds, I'll go ahead and clean it, and it can become a gun that I will carry. The comp does do a pretty good job of reducing muzzle flip. Now the texture also helps that. By the way, this has a really generous trigger guard. I'm in South Florida, so wearing gloves isn't a big deal for me, but if you are in a place where part of your year involves wearing gloves, this thing is really big. Compare it to the Glock trigger guard, it is noticeably different. Just throwing that in there. But the single port comp does do a really good job of keeping muzzle flip down on it. It wasn't as dramatic as I thought it might be. I don't have a lot of experience shooting carry guns with comps on them, so maybe that was part of my expectation, was that it was going to be a lot more dramatic. I'm not going to fault the gun for that. It was noticeable. It was a lot easier to keep, like double taps, I was able to keep them shooting really fast and keeping them in a nice small area. So what's the impression of this? One caveat, I've been looking at holsters for the gun. Now, Rost Martin does have holsters available on their website. There are some manufacturers out there that routinely make holsters for different Rost Martin guns. I usually use tier 1 holsters for my everyday carry. Rost Martin so far is not getting any love from tier 1 holsters. For my range holsters, I use a lot of holsters from Black Scorpion, and they do make it for the RMS, or I'm sorry, the RM1 full size or compact. Make it for the compact, but this is the subcompact, so they still don't have anything for that. So right now I'm kind of looking, I haven't found a left-handed holster for this gun that I like. If I don't find one soon, I'm just going to have one made for it and go that way. But why am I going to make a holster for it? Because as long as this gun does another 250 rounds reliably with no other issues on it before I even clean it, I'm going to carry this thing. I don't always carry the same gun every day. The 365 is my normal EDC, but I can picture using this, especially on Sundays when I'm working church safety, where the bigger gun, the comp, the little bit better, fuller grip, little increase in magazine capacity, all of that are pluses for me. Soon I will be putting a red dot on this, get that zeroed, and again, make sure that the gun functions well with the red dot on it. But so far, I am impressed. I got this gun at a ridiculously low price. YouTube won't let me say what I got it for, but if you check in the show notes, you'll get a link to our campsite that will take you to the place that I bought this. And as of the date of this video, they are still selling this gun really inexpensively. So it is definitely worth looking at. So overall impression, this gun gets a thumbs up. Good grip texture, completely ambidextrous, good magazine capacity, 12 round, 15 round in the box, optics ready, the single port comp, everything on here. There's nothing to not like about this gun so far. If anything drastically changes, I'll drop another video and tell you, but I really do not anticipate it. So Rost Martin RM1S comp, check it out. If you got any value out of this, like, share, subscribe, do all the things. There's comments down below. If you've shot one of these and you've got a different opinion or you agree, put it in the comments down below. And stay tuned. We'll have more content coming at you. Stay safe.